in progress. Okay. Everyone can't hear me. That's on camera, but welcome.
I'm Kate Swope. I am so happy to be here. I'm the acting principal horn of the Rocker Symphony. I've been with the organization for many years in different capacities. A long time ago, I was subbing on horn, and then I got hired on as music librarian for a couple of years, while I was also doing some personnel managing. So we were kind of in between people, and so I was like wearing a lot of hats in big offices, which I loved. And then when the principal horn player retired, they asked me to play, and lucky for me, they haven't been able to do auditions because of COVID and everything. So I just get to sit there and play. I'm sure they'll have auditions coming up, and we'll see what happens. But it's been so fun to play, and I have such a love for the organization. Rockford is so lucky to have an orchestra. I live in the DeKalb Sycamore area. I work at NIU, but just even 45 minutes from my house, we have this orchestra, which is incredible. So I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about how to prepare for a concert, because you guys are volunteering, right, to potentially assist with the choir, orchestra, band in the schools. And you may or may not be playing your instrument or singing daily, which is fine. And we're going to just talk about some tips and tricks to maybe get us like the dust off and get us going. And these are things that I do myself that I think could be helpful. I want to start off. I think there's a quote on the next slide. I just love this quote from Sir Simon Rattle, who conducts the Berlin Philharmonic. I don't think he still is there, but actually, you never eyeball a horn player. That's one of the real rules. You just don't. They're stuntmen. You don't eyeball stuntmen just before they're about to go near death. Yeah. And I play the French horn, and I will say it's tricky. It's a tricky life, and especially playing principal horn, it's terrifying and exciting. Playing principal horn is a different line of work than playing in this section. You get all the solos, you get all the high notes, which is hard to get. It's just a tricky instrument.
Did you play in the concert where you did just coach Fifth Symphony?
Yes.
Was that you?
Yes.
Solo?
Yeah.
I was looking for there. Boy, that is a really exposed.
It is. And you get some of that
huge.
stuff. You get really exposed things out of the blues sometimes. So it's a hot seat, I like to say. There's a couple other positions in the orchestra that are like that. But I always love this quote because I actually think it's true. I think conductors, they are careful with their principal horn player and the horns in general. They don't often say things because it's such a mind game to play the horn. You have to have confidence. And anytime you let that confidence go, you're probably going to miss. I just love that quote. So I had to share that. Next slide, I think. Okay. Concert prep 101. Let's do this. So how to succeed with little rehearsal time. We in the Rockford Symphony, we get our music sometimes 2 weeks in advance, sometimes less. We get, 4 rehearsals, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday rehearsals, plus a Saturday concert. So we're running on 4 rehearsals with a lot of music in front of us. Sometimes we get things that are standards, we all know it. And that's always so much fun because almost everybody in the orchestra has played that stuff before. But there's a lot of times we get things that are kind of just off the beaten path, brand new works, things that nobody's ever seen. But we got to come into that first rehearsal acting as though and playing as though we know how it goes. So let's see. This is what I do pretty much for my prep. So I think most importantly, you need to get your fundamentals in shape, whether it's playing long tones. We can go over more of this, but like just getting things in shape with your body, with your instrument, physically, mentally, all that stuff. I believe in organization. Like I get my music as early as possible. I make sure everything's in order. I can read all the notes. The photocopy isn't all wonky. That's super important to me. So I don't have to worry about it. Once I have everything ready, I take a closer look. I find the passages I need to work on. And then after I kind of learn the notes, I try to have fun with it, because why else are we doing this, right? It's gotta be fun. Okay, so number one, our fundamentals. Physically, we gotta get everything in shape, but I also think getting your instrument in good working order should be a fundamental priority. So for me, in my horn, I make sure all the valves are oiled, my slides move, everything works mechanically. I also get my body ready. So I often do stretches, just to loosen up my body, but also to enable myself to breathe easier. Your lungs, for wind instruments, I don't know what you guys play, but wind instruments, you have to breathe a lot and big.
Well, there's only three of us here, right? So
Exactly. Violin, okay. Sing.
and I'm tenor and trumpet.
Okay, great. Yeah, and singing for sure is breathing, but violin, your whole thing is physical, right? We played something Sunday night, and we were at intermissions, and one of the violinists was like, "Wow, that was workout,"
Yeah,
because it was just crazy.
With the Enescu? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was nuts, and I can see that. So yeah, get your body ready. I often tell my students, they're young, they're middle and early high school students now. And I say that playing a concert, I like to look at it as getting ready to run a marathon. You're not just going to go out without any prep work and you're jogging. You're not just going to go run a marathon, because you will hurt yourself. And it's the same, I think, in a concert. If you don't prepare your body, your muscles, whether it's in your face, in your arms, whatever, you're going to maybe hurt yourself. And I would not recommend it. Practicing scales and long tones are fundamentally important. Getting your good tone quality going, doing all those exercises that you learned way back when you started your instrument. Those are things that we still do as professionals every day. The same kinds of exercises we were taught when we were kids, maybe a little bit more high, a little bit lower, louder, softer, but it's essentially the same. I would also say it's a good idea to sight read. Get your physical stuff ready, but also get your mental stuff ready. Sight reading, reading music more than just the music that you're going to play on the concert. Read through some easy etudes. Read through some solos that maybe you played back in high school to see if you can do it again. I think that would be fun, but it's good for you. It gets your brain working. And of course, as far in advance as you can, do all these things before the concert. For me personally, I do try to do my fundamentals every day, but getting ready for a concert, I will tend to look at the music. If it's something really hard, really exposed, really high, I will be practicing a couple months in advance. And a lot of times we get the rep very early, so I know what's on the program, so I can go out and find the music, usually if it's like a regular piece. And I start working on it as quickly as I can. But if I can't have access to the music, then at least I can get my muscles in shape, my body in shape, to be able to just learn the notes when I get it. So I think all that's super
I have
important.
a question.
Yeah.
About that. So when are we, is it possible that I'm going to get a phone call and say, hey, we need you in 5 days? Or is it going to be, hey, we need you in 3 weeks?
So there's already a form up online where teachers can request someone, and I haven't reminded them of that yet because I wanted us to have at least one time together.
Okay.
So they'll request, as far in advance as they know, and then depending on what instruments they request, I'll send out. If it's one of the things you've signed up for, I'll send out, and it's up to you to say this works for me or this doesn't. So if it's like the timing doesn't work because you don't have time to prepare or you're not available, there's no obligation to say that you can do it. We're not promising people things. We're just trying to build a list and a community and to share resources and Markella and I were talking earlier, just that a lot of people are already doing this type of volunteering, but on the teachers having to make multiple calls and coordinate it themselves, it's like, if we can help as a symphony to organize that and serve our community in that way and broaden the pool, and it makes it easier for the teachers, it gives people that are passionate more opportunities, and hopefully will be something that we all will benefit from and enjoy. I mean, just building a little pocket of our lives that we enjoy.
I imagine the Christmas concerts in the schools are coming up.
That's why I wanted to do this workshop. I'm going to email people tomorrow and say, we did this. So if you have something, let me know. But yes, if it's like, I don't have, this week is crazy, then it's just not the right time for you to commit.
And I
like-
reiterate that too, just like, do this first because you want to, but also it's for these kids, right? So you want it to be a positive experience overall.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't do something if you're just busy out the wazoo. And I even do this for paid gigs. Like if my kids are sick or whatever, and or I have a busy week, like I just say no. So just say no, and it's okay.
Yeah. It is.
It's
Okay.
harder if you're getting paid.
Well, it is, right? If you need that money, but
Yeah.
but yeah, so these are just two examples that I put up here on some fundamentals I do every day. So one on the left, these are my scales. This is a simplified version of how I do my scales, and they're in the order that's called the circle of fifths. So it's just, and I usually do about 2 octaves or 3 octaves of this. But this gets me through all my scales, most of my range, and all these different key signatures. So all my different fingering combinations, it just gets my everything ready, my brain, my dexterity, my air. And I really like that exercise. The one on the right is a very common exercise for horn players, and these are arpeggios. So if you're thinking like do, mi, sol, do, right? Going arpeggios up, and I'm just expanding it then eventually to a 2 octave arpeggio, and then down. And this specifically for brass players and probably wind players too, and well, everyone. The slurring, I think, is very good for your air support, right? And air for any wind player is like crucial. So
And
those
for
are the
singers, it helps you if you have a break in your voice.
two. There you go. To make
Getting
it
pushing
sing.
over the break and getting how does that feel and how am I gonna set the tone with your soft palate to get over that
Right.
break in your voice when you're
Right.
singing.
Yeah, so these are just examples. So after the fundamentals, after I get things working, hopefully you can do, if you don't want to do them every day, maybe like on the weekends. Even if you don't have that concert coming up on the weekends, get your instrument out, do some exercise, just for the fun. But the next thing, organization. Get your music as early as possible. I don't know how that will be for this situation. You might show up and have it on your stand. Who knows? But if you can get it, ask for it. Be sure to make sure all of the notes are legible. And that sounds silly, but a lot of times you get photocopies and things are cut off because the person doesn't know how to photocopy sheet music. It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Experience, you know?
Yeah, you're a library.
Yeah, so your sheet music is huge and you're trying to photocopy it onto a normal piece of paper and it's tricky. So just make sure that everything is legible and it's there. Look for page turns. I've often had to copy extra pages for people if they ask for it. Myself, I do that because I hate that page turns, although now I have an iPad and a pedal, which has been revolutionary. It's amazing. And it's, yeah, I love it. I will never go back.
I noticed that too. I'm in the choir, that's why.
Okay, you can kind of see.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't know.
I'm in just across, so I you had an iPad. I don't know if I pressed that.
Well,
you
and
know,
that's
I'm
the
too old for
thing.
that.
Somebody said, or the current librarian always is like, Kate, what if that dies?
Yeah.
Here's your folder.
I can see that.
Marty's like, you're gonna need this. It's like, I don't think so, but thanks. I know, you're right. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, you won't.
I have to charge you with me. I charge it with me. So yeah, so far it's been awesome and super helpful. Look for page turns. I also would encourage you, if you have all these loose sheets of paper, to tape them. You have no idea if there's going to be like random vents in the ceiling. I swear, like you don't know where you're going to be. Yeah, you don't want your pages flying everywhere and then like slipping in the crack on the floor and the things like, I swear. I knew someone in grad school that actually dropped their trumpet mouthpiece and slipped down into the whatever, what do they call it? The pit. And I think they were able to find it somehow. I don't know, but they couldn't. They had to borrow somebody's mouthpiece.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, I was like, So things happen. So make sure all your stuff is in order. I like to know everything going into concerts. I am one of those people that I don't like surprises. So I always want to know the concert order. I want to know if I'm going to be having to leave stage between pieces. I want to know if there's an intermission. I want to know if there's pieces on the program that I don't have, but that I'll have some rest time or I won't. I like to know everything like that. I like to know exactly what the stage looks like, what the hall looks like, if within reason. You can't always find this out, but I've been known to search on Google for churches. I play in churches a lot. I've been known to do that and see if I can get a picture of the sanctuary to see what the space looks like. Because that stuff, I don't like surprises. You never know. Different spaces make your sound different. And it also maybe changes the way you prepare. Here's a picture of this is my cat Shadow. This was a few years ago and he was just a kitten. Yeah. A black one?
No, it's a Bengal. It's real dark.
Oh.
So I love Shadow. He's the best cat. This was when I was librarian for the arts. So this is me preparing for a concert with everyone's music. Or maybe this was after. I might have been sorting after the concert. So yeah. Okay. After you kind of have an idea of what to expect, now's the time to look closely at your music. Things like key signatures are always important. The roadmap, like, are there repeats? Is there a DS? Is there a coda? You don't want to get there because you're probably going to maybe go to one rehearsal in the concert or maybe just the concert. You don't want to go and be the adult and not know what's going on, right? So I would for sure look at your roadmap. Transpositions, you probably won't have any of that. As horn players and brass players, we have to transpose on the spot a lot, which for people that do it a lot, it's not too big of a deal. But like what my husband plays trumpet, and he's playing on this concert coming up, and he has this transposition that to me sounds easy because I do it a lot on the horn, but for him it's kind of a weird one for trumpet. And so he actually has spent time this week writing it out because he doesn't have time to work it up because we just got our music, right? So and that's fine. You do what you got to do to make the notes come out. Noticing in music if there's any extras that you need. If you need mutes, if you need there's any special effects, like on a horn, it would be like stopped horn or fluttered tonguing, trills, any kind of special things, because a lot of times those are the things that even high schoolers might not be very good at, and it'd be cool for you to brush off your skills and to be the leader in that respect. Practice the difficult passages. I would say practice all the notes, but then really focus in on those passages that are just hard. Play them a few times, play them slowly, gradually get up to speed, play them so it's not difficult. You don't always have to think about fingerings. And don't be afraid to use your pencil. I harp on my students so much about this, and I think in a minute you can see some of the music with, I have markings a lot. I mark things all the time. My brain, I can't remember things. There's so much in this world, I can't remember all these things. So I mark in my music a ton. I also would say listen to the pieces. Most often you can find just all the stuff on YouTube. It might not be the best recording ever, but at least you'll get an idea of what you should be playing. I listen to everything I can find that I play with R. So I listen to it before I get to rehearsal. Even the pieces I know pretty well, I still review them. I also play along with recordings. And as a brass player, it's hard because my instrument's so loud. So I literally, I either
I had that
blast-
as a soprano too, probably.
Yeah, I blast the music. We had these two like Sonos speakers and we blast them in our big room and I play. And the kids either go outside or go to the basement.
Try with
Headphones, I do that sometimes.
That might obscure your own playing.
It does a little bit. That's why I don't like it as much, but
Okay.
I do sometimes. So either way would work.
Okay, all right.
Or else I'll put like one headphone on and keep
Yeah.
one ear open.
Okay.
Like it just depends. But I love playing recordings. This is another cat. She's passed, but she used to help me. I was learning a band piece. I used to conduct a university band at NIU. And there I am with YouTube, watching my score, preparing, listening to the piece. So YouTube, I swear, has everything.
Especially if you high school, if you get called to the pit,
Yeah.
see if you can find parents recording of the show. Because
Oh,
so this past spring, I played Anastasia, and it was right before they did it here in Coronado. And but the high school was doing it, and I found it helpful to find that recording of a high school doing it, because not only obviously on the soundtracks you can't find all of the pieces
Yes.
that are in the score, but you also are playing at more of a high school grade tempo.
right. That's a good
And
point.
that's the key in
Mhm.
helping to learn
Mhm.
some of the
Very
pieces that are
true.
harder that maybe you're not as.
Very true.
What type of a tempo is a high schooler going to see that versus a commercial?
And I think it wouldn't be out of line if when you get a piece of music to ask, well, are you playing it at the written tempo? Because they might not be. That's a good point.
Yeah, or even at seeing if you can go into, if you have the time. They really to go in to listen to their rehearsal, even if they're not playing the time.
Yeah.
Just to sit in on a rehearsal while they're.
Or now with all this technology, they could even take a
Or do a
recording on their phone, you know, it's so easy
So a lot
now.
of them will during the rehearsals,
Yeah.
while they're doing choreography, they usually are taking videos and sharing them in their own like, Google folders.
Yeah.
With their own students to say, okay, here's our choreography, or here's the background. And you kind of get an idea of
Yeah,
what tempo they're
that's a
playing
really good
things
idea.
at or singing things at.
For sure. And that's hard professionally with the RSO, it's hard because a lot of times conductors don't take it at the tempo that I assume they're gonna take it. You just never know. Even what's written, it's not always what we're doing. These are a couple different pieces. The one on the left, we're playing this weekend. This is a brand new piece to me. I had never heard it. And I just wanted to kind of point out, I have, I've written fingerings in, because these are stopped horn, which is a technique that horn players do where we have to transpose and stop, like shove our hand on the bell to make the sound. And it's hard to think of fingerings that quickly because this kind of flies by. I have, I don't know, like I have brackets sometimes when I know that a note is being played by me as well as the second horn. Because it allows me maybe to like not play as loud, to kind of lay out and save my chops a little bit, things like that. Don't be afraid to use your pencil. The thing on the right, this was something I pulled out from last, I think Holiday Pops or something. And this is an example of a medley, which lots of high schoolers play medleys. And they're hard because your key signature changes all the time. Okay, so the key is always changing. Also the tempo is always changing. And these are things that aren't easy for young players to adapt to, especially when they're still learning their fingerings or they're still learning their scales. And so I think for you guys to go into the classroom, this could be a skill that you could be very good at in helping them with, and just kind of leading the pack that way. And just this is the last, have fun. Like our job is to play. Like we say, I'm gonna go play my horn. Like it's a fun thing. It's a lot of work, but it's fun. And like what would the world be like without music? I mean, I'm just kind of throwing questions out there. what draws you to continue to listen? What draws you to want to still play and still perform? And why are you doing this? Why do you want to help the community? Why do you care about the students? You know, there's all these questions, and I think these are important things to think about and remember. Because often as a working musician, I'm just so focused on gotta learn these notes, gotta be here on time, and I forget to think about my why. And as I was doing this PowerPoint for you guys, like it really was therapeutic, actually. You know, it was just like, this is why we do this. You know, think about what music means to you. So yeah, I have just a couple of shots of the RSO. This is in the pit for the Nutcracker, probably a couple of years ago. This is my husband, Michael, and he and Mark is the principal trumpet player. They are buddies, and they're just always cracking jokes, as trumpet players do, right? So they're in the pit, and no one can really see you, so they're just being crazy all the time. And this is Rick in the background. He's also a jokester, and he's right back there with everybody. No, that's okay. There, yeah. And then this is a cool picture. This was during I think Michael actually was not playing this concert. That's my husband, and he was up way in the balcony and was getting some shots. And one of my whys is that I get to play in this gorgeous space. Like, this is a unique hall. And I haven't played everywhere, but I play in a lot of venues, and it's beautiful in there to look at. It's nice to play in. It's just a really nice space. Oh. And then more Coronado pictures, holiday pops.
What was that one? Like
This was proms.
Oh yeah.
I think this was the last time we did the proms, which was a super fun concert. And another one of my whys is that I get to play music with my husband. You know, like it's so fun that we get to do this together, and my friends. And I had to put some of these in here. This is my family. Michael, of course, is trumpet. He's a tech guy by day. We have an 8-year-old Bennett. He is taking drum lessons these days, super fun and loud. And he aspires to be in drum corps. Like that's all he wants to do. And Rockford, what you guys have band regiment, yeah. So he knows all about that. And Josie's my crazy 6-year-old. She loves cats, cartwheels, and candy.
Oh, I like that.
Totally.
So cute.
So yeah, I do think what you guys are doing is incredible. It's special. It's amazing to this community that you have the time and the energy to give back. And I know the educators are going to appreciate that. If I lived in town, I would be doing that too.
We can add you to the list.
What?
We can add you to the list, Kate.
I help I go to my high school to Cal. It's fun.
I'm sure you
It's
do,
fun
yeah.
to see those kids, and it's nice for them too to just listen to somebody besides the band or the choir that they hear every day. It's just nice for them.
So would you anticipate that it would be at the high school level?
I think that will probably be the most likely. I think when I've talked with teachers, it's just been that COVID has the programs have shrunk so much because they weren't able to kids that when you couldn't do a performance in person when things were remote, and even when they got back in, ensemble still couldn't perform, but other things were in person, kids started signing up for other electives. And so these programs are just so small. And so I think part of it is that, if you're the only trumpet player in even your middle school band, you feel really exposed and you don't feel confident. And so, or you're the only tenor in a high school choir. I mean, can you imagine? But it's happening. And so the idea of supporting, right. But, so it's not going to encourage them to stay in a performing ensemble if they don't feel successful and support it. Yeah, when you're exposed and you're just nervous and now you're not feeling that, getting that full performance experience. And so I think it's both. It's right. It's like letting the teachers know the community sees the work you're doing and we care about you. And we've got people here that are willing to help you. And the kids that people are willing to show up and help you. And you know, I think, I'm talking a lot now, so people that are at home. It hit different for me when I had a youth orchestra student come and meet with me in my office at the beginning of the school year. And she's like, my band is so small, what can we do? And, you know, it's like, it's one thing to talk to teachers and them say, I'm feeling so frustrated and down, but it's another to have a teenager sitting in your office and saying, it's my senior year and my program's small and I want it to grow.
Yeah.
And for me to tell her that we were doing this, I mean, it lifted her up as a student to know we see that as a community and we care about you. And
It's
so
more than just in Rockford, I think it's nationwide.
it is.
And my students, I'm used to my horn students not having other horn players because horn is kind of unique instrument, it's difficult. But when my students have been telling me, yeah, we don't even have any clarinet players in the band.
Right.
We don't have one flute player. Like, that's shocking to me.
It's shocking.
Because that's not the case. That hasn't been the case, you know, and
Yeah.
I think COVID just kind of wiped some kids out
It really
because
did.
it was too hard.
Yeah, my daughter was in 6th grade,
Mhm.
first year in band during when.
Mhm.
COVID hit, and she was playing clarinet.
Mhm.
We wanted to play bassoon that year, so she needed to play
Yeah.
clarinet first. COVID hit and the classes, I mean, obviously the state couldn't
Right.
fault anyone for not doing their work.
Right.
So there wasn't the level of
Yeah.
interaction between the
course.
teacher and the students that there had been. And meeting a string player, I know nothing about person and all the
Most
things that I only know
parents-
from an opera because she was playing.
Most
clarinet.
parents don't have
Um,
any
But,
music.
but I would sit there for several hours a day because she was in the mentality of, well, I need to do it perfect.
Yeah.
And they're recording their
Yes.
test lines, and
Yeah, it's
she
so
would make a
hard.
mistake and would start all over, and we would go through hours and hours of crying.
And that's not
Oh.
what it should be about.
Finally,
Right.
And unfortunately, that was the catalyst that,
Yeah.
you know, was like, no.
I don't want to do it
we
anymore.
are
Yeah.
Of course, next year. So,
I know,
mean,
and I think
it
there's a
was
lot of
just-
kids
yeah.
just like that.
Yeah.
you know, it was tough, and yeah, the kids dropped out.
And then the kids that stayed in on the other side and now are feeling exposed. And so I think so I mean, also tell your friends that we're still signing up if you're in ensembles and helping us recruit on the ground. I think the more people, and I think this kind of support's going to be needed for years as it rebuilds. You know, it's not going to rebuild in 1 year into these programs. Like, we're going to need to support these music educators for years as they rebuild these programs. And I think about schools, you know, if it doesn't matter how supportive an administrator is, if there's not enough kids in the class to make the class, these teachers are being asked to teach computer or history or other things, and then it's like, if these programs go away, then what is left for the future? I mean, it feels like it's at a crisis tipping point, really, that it's an all hands on deck, and you guys are on deck, which is
And I
amazing.
also, you know, I don't think anyone needs to be a professional musician to be able to help in the schools. at this
Absolutely.
level. I mean, and also, like, yeah, you're volunteering and it's amazing, you're giving your time, but you're gonna get stuff back from this. Like, I promise you, I do a lot of free stuff because in my community, because I know my kids are gonna be going into those schools. And it's just lovely to make relationships with these kids and the directors and the parents. Like, they're so appreciative to have people that care and that are giving time and doing things. And maybe that's your why. I mean, that's not my why I do it. And if you have the time, offer to do more. I mean, even if you're going in for a rehearsal, maybe say, hey, do you mind if I take the violins out for 10-15 minutes and we'll just work on the passage or some notes or tuning or whatever it may be. Like, that kind of small group stuff, I think, gives huge results. So if that ever is an opportunity, I would definitely take it. Yeah, this is awesome. I'm
I
so
know.
excited. I'm happy that the RSO was able to make this happen too.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of them, I know you've been doing it for a long time, volunteering. It's just, hopefully we can organize better and pull resources and take something off the teachers' plates to have to find you all. We can help facilitate.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So I have a question that's
Yeah.
kind of specific to horn/trumpet playing.
Yeah.
Kind of the same.
Okay.
So I haven't played my trumpet regularly for about 30 years.
Mhm.
But I've kept it in shape. It's in good shape. And I played it occasionally. When I signed up for this, I'm like, okay, I gotta get in shape. And so I'm playing like a few times a week and stuff.
Good.
And lately, I'll be trying to play several times during the day. I'm trying to get my endurance back up.
Mhm.
And it's just not coming. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm concerned because I'll play just nice long tones and scales, and after about 10 minutes, I've had it. And I'm just wondering, should I do lots of frequent small rehearsals, or should I do some longer ones?
I think you
What
need
do
to vary it. So I have students, I mean, they're young, but they have no endurance at all.
Yeah,
What I always prescribe is lots of 10 minutes, but multiple times in one day.
okay,
But then, like a couple days a week, do a 20-30 minute session if
Okay.
you can do it.
okay,
And as an example, I often take a chunk of the summer off. I just need a break, right? And for me, it takes me a while to get back in shape.
sure.
My husband, he can just somehow play all the time and it drives me nuts.
sure.
It takes me a while. And I have to do these small, very small things. And I also have to be careful about not playing like too loud right away or too high right away. It's
Yeah.
everything's kind of middle of the range, middle of the
I'm trying to
volume.
do that.
Yeah, and I think it'll
So,
just
okay.
come, it's hard.
So lots of 10-minute sessions in a day if you can.
Yeah.
and some longer ones.
A
few
couple of times a week, I
couple
would say.
times a week.
That's what I would do.
Try to stretch it. Because I know they say, well, you don't want to push it because then you're gonna hurt yourself.
know.
And I didn't want to push it too far. But I was like,
But
this is
sometimes,
freaking.
sometimes the burn is good, like that
Yeah.
means your muscles are working, right? If your cheeks and your corners are kind of getting tired, just
Yeah.
push a little bit more.
Okay,
I think if your lips are hurting, stop.
okay, that's good. Because like today when I played, it was the corners.
Yeah, those are the good muscles.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good to know. Do
Yeah.
something right.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard though, but I
Yeah.
think it'll come back. You just keep on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yay.
Hopefully they'll pick me to do a tenor because I have no.
Well, you get to pick yourself. You don't have to opt in if you
Well,
don't feel you're
yeah,
ready.
I
So
wanna do the trumpet, though.
yeah, there's no pressure.
Here, like, I don't know, do you exercise, do you run, like?
I walk every day.
Yeah, so that's good, like just having
Yeah.
some breathing exercises too, I think is always helpful to brass players.
Yeah, and I sing too, so.
Oh,
the-
yeah.
Yeah.
You should have.
Similar,
Yeah, yeah.
We need a it sounds like we need like a breathing workshop. That would, maybe not for string players so much, but I think, yeah,
Strings, we obviously have everything. We should put the dexterity.
Yeah.
With whether it's melodies, or violin, you know, because you do get those passages that constantly when you're going. And it's all about the posture and like a lot of times if you're just sitting on, like I'll go,
Yeah.
and I will do longer sessions because obviously I do more musicals for what I played for.
Mhm.
So you're figuring you're sitting in the pit for 2.5 hours.
You got used to that.
You got it. Yes, exactly. You have to be used to that. And when you're rehearsing, you're practicing for that long. And am I sitting the right way? Because now my arm is down.
yeah,
Right.
Yes.
And that's never good.
And that's never good. So you have to take those wiggle breaks because as a string player, a lot of times you don't get
no,
a break. You're playing for most of the
Yeah.
music. And so you have to find that.
Mhm.
Okay, now's a good time for me to just do this. You know, and
for sure.
shake it out and do it. But yeah, you have to do the shorter sessions and.
And again, I always think also it's important to change things up in your routine. Like I have my like fundamental routine, but even that I vary it. I think if you do the same thing all the time, like you could hurt yourself and you can get locked into a position or whatever and do your fundamental exercises, but also do some easy etudes, like play music, don't get too locked into just exercises. I don't know.
Well, I know we have to wrap up because Kate has to get to rehearsal. But thank you guys for coming. Thank you for those that joined us online. And yeah, we'll be doing more of these. And this is good to hear the questions because that helps plan what we should plan for future
Get
talks.
the word out. Hopefully we'll get some requests.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you all
Well,
so
I'll
much.
send it out
This is just
tomorrow.
Such a great opportunity to do. So I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much.
You bet.
All right.
All right,
I'm gonna-
thank you.
Bye.